Hey guys, we are so excited. This is our very first episode for Faith Over Fear, and we are your co-host Aileen
and Crystal.
And yes, just like I mentioned, this is our very first episode. We are so excited that we are starting this journey together, and the first thing that we want to focus on is just kind of like, why are we doing this, what are we doing, and just pretty much like how we met, you know. So, and kind of like doing an introduction of who we are, and like I mentioned, what this whole project is about.
Yes. So should we start like the very first time we met and then go from there?
Yes.
Okay. So I have a crazy story about this because it was in camp 2023, and it was right after the panel, and they were like, don't go back to your cabins, like meet people. So I was like, oh, okay. So after that we prayed, and I was like, Lord, like direct me to someone, like help me meet someone that like I'm supposed to meet, you know? And then I didn't think anything of the prayer. I was like, okay, like, I mean, I'm going to meet someone, you know, but I was like, whatever. And after that, we were going to play Killer, and it's like a card game. And I saw a group of people, which Aileen was in the group of people. But the reason I knew the group of people was because two of the girls were in my cabin. So I was like, hey, do y'all want to play? And at first they were like, no. But then like the rest of the group was like, oh yeah, like, so they came and we played, but that was it. It wasn't like like I met her or anything. It was just kind of like she was in the group, and I was like, well, it's someone in that group, you know? And I wasn't sure, but that's how it was. And it's kind of crazy because you think it's like this whole like, oh, like, you know, but it was just very like simple, like, you know?
Yeah, just like a simple interaction. And it's funny because that she mentioned about prayer. In my POV, before camp, I had actually prayed about wanting to have more friendships in my life, because during that time I was noticing that I was not that I was losing friends, but there was like distance from the friends. So I felt like I didn't have people that I can talk to when it came to my spiritual walk, which is very important to have those people for your spiritual walk. Of course, God is the ultimate friend that you need, but I feel like he puts people in your life so you can have like guidance, you can have mentorship, you can have people that can hold you accountable. And so that's what I was kind of like asking God for. And so yeah, just, you know, fast forward to camp and I get to meet her. She followed me on Instagram, I followed her back, and
Hold on, there's a story about that. So we had met not a lot of people, but we had met a certain amount of people, and me and my sister were like, should we like follow these people? Because we just had barely came back to like Christ. So it was like, you know, we were like wanting to follow people and like, you know, like meet the people.
Right.
So I remember that I found your Instagram, and I was like, oh, I found her Instagram. And I was like, should I follow her? And she was like, yeah, but I'm really weird. Like when it comes to like following people, like I don't like to follow people. I don't know why. Like I'm like, oh, they can follow me. But yeah, but we started following people, like people from the district and stuff. And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna follow her. So then I followed you, and then, well, you can continue with your POV.
And so she posted an IG story, and I was like, wow, like it kind of said a little bit about her walk. And so I was like, interesting. And so I messaged her about it. I was like, wow, this is like very cool to hear a little bit about your testimony. And so I was like, how about we go and like kind of have like a talk, you know, share our testimonies and get to know each other over coffee, surrounding what she had posted. I can't remember what it was, but you know, she always kind of posts like those encouraging posts, or she shares like a little bit about her walk through a post that she might see, right? And so yeah, you know, fast forward, we met up and we just kind of like, but I think that we should talk about what like kind of clicked in my mind podcast, right? So we had went to a service together, and afterwards we hanged out, we went out to eat and everything. And then hearing her talk, I was kind of thinking, I was like, wow, like when is the conference, you know, because later on you guys will see the way that she expresses herself and just kind of like that fire she has for God, right? And so I saw that, and then I mean, for those that know, I used to do, social media, YouTube, and, Instagram. That was kind of like my thing along with my brother. And so I didn't really want to lose my account, but I was already starting to lose interest because fashion and makeup and all that, like, don't get me wrong, I still like it, but it's not the content that I wanted to, like, give out and have my platform be surrounding that. And so I was like, I really just want to show my spiritual side more, to people. And so I was kind of like asking God, I was like, where do you want to take this? Should I just completely stop? But I just love being creative. I love being like with social media and all that. And so whenever after we met, I was, doing that prayer and everything. And then like out of nowhere, you just like my spirit just said podcast. Like it's so weird, and we're gonna get more into that, but my spirit said podcast, and I was like, okay, I was like, with who, and so out of nowhere, Crystal, you know what I mean, like just Crystal came to mind. And it's funny because a little bit about us, I live in Dallas and she lives in Decatur. And so for those who don't know, that's an hour, of a distance, an hour away from each other. So I was kind of like interesting, that how God, arranged two girls that live so far away each other, but he has a purpose for that. I'm so excited for us to, see where God takes this, right? Yeah. And so, going back to that, he said that, and I was like, all right, let's do it. I've never done podcasting. I've only done it once, previous with someone that had his own channel. And so I was like, I've done YouTube, I've done Instagram, Facebook, and all that. And I've never had the interest for a podcast. But like I said, whenever you ask God, he answers, and he told me something that I've never done. So this is me kind of like taking us to the unknown. Yeah. And so, we hanged out. It was just the two of us. And I was just kind of like, this is going to be very weird, and I don't know how you're going to react, because I know there's a lot of people that don't like being behind the camera. I mean, in front of the camera. So I was like, I wonder what she's going to say. And I asked her, I was like, this is going to be weird, but what do you think about starting a podcast together?
It's crazy because like, I'm going to share kind of my like story, but so we said we were going to hang out, remember? And then we weren't able to like hang out. And then we were going to hang out at that service that we met up at. But then like other people came with us. And that's when we were in the car and you're like, when's the conference? And then my friend's like, the podcast. You remember?
Yes, that's true.
And then it's funny because I had already like kind of been telling people like, I want to start a podcast. But for me, like, yeah, you have all this background with like YouTube and all of that. But I'm the type of person that like I have ideas, but I'm like scared. Right. Like I don't know. I just don't know how to just do things, Right. So my head was like, how am I going to start? Like, what am I going to do? Like, like, yeah, I want to do it. Like it was in my heart already, but I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get there.
Right.
And I was like, if you want me to start a podcast, like you're going to make a way, And then so that was all like before even Eileen. So when we were in the car, my friend's like, a podcast. And then, I mean, I don't know, like, you hadn't thought about a podcast yet. And then fast forward, we finally meet, because I feel like that first date was like rain checked a lot. Like,
yes, it kept getting like pushed back.
Yeah, because like I was in Mexico too, and I was like, hey, like, I'm sorry, That's true. And it was like so annoying because I knew I needed to like hang out with her alone, but it was just not time yet. And then finally, like, she asked me, she was like, do you want to, like, this is going to sound crazy. And I was like, girl, like, I had just told her, like, the crazy things I was going through. So I was like, just tell me, And she's like, do you want to start a podcast? And I was like, wow. Like, I was like, yes. Like, it had been in my heart. And then she was like, I don't know. It was perfect. It was literally, like, God sent.
Yes.
And Amen. I don't know, it's just amazing how he works, because like you have all, like, what you're doing type of thing. And I had the desire, but I needed the push.
Right. No, and it makes sense because I feel like with me, like I mentioned, and for those who know, like I've tried it all with wanting to do like, but I've quit mid, walk, I guess you can say, because I never started it just because like I feel like now I know that that wasn't the content that I should do, right? Now I know why, but I feel like I just needed like that extra person to kind of like have this walk together, because whenever you're alone, like, yeah, I've seen people that can do it alone, but I feel like and based on our, walk, based on these circumstances, it just felt like we needed to have each other's back in this situation. So that's why I'm so happy, that we're doing this together.
Yes.
And we'll, like I said, we'll see where God takes this. But yeah, so we're starting it, we're getting it here. And I don't know if there's anything else you want to talk about that aspect.
I was just gonna say that, like, I don't know, this is like the way God just worked everything out is just amazing, and I really want to, like, I guess, focus on that, because like it was so perfect. Like, and when something is from God, like, it's gonna be perfect, like, yeah, there's gonna be little hiccups or whatever, but like, if it's God sent, like, he's gonna make a way. And that's why we're called faith over fear, because like stepping out in faith is really hard.
It's true.
But like, don't be scared. Like, if it's from God, like, he's gonna make a way. And this is literally like him making a way. Like, in my personal case, because like, I don't know how to explain, like, it was scary, and the fact that I feel like it's like back with my family, like, we say we're gonna do things, but then we don't do it.
Right.
And I feel like even before we met, like, I was kind of being prepared to like finally step out. Like, one of my friends, she's the one that gave me the idea. She's like, you should start a podcast, because we were talking, and I was just talking and talking and talking, and she's like, you should start a podcast. And that's when it all came in. But she really like I had to do something, and she would make sure that like I was gonna get it done.
Right.
And I feel like that was God preparing me to step into things. Like, yeah, you're scared, but like, have the faith that God is gonna get you there, and he's gonna do it. You just have to believe and not be scared.
That's so true. And just kind of to add to that, whenever God is going to confirm, there's no confusion. Yes. There is just confirmation. There is just peace. And just like Crystal said, like, there is going to be some hiccups along the way. Obviously, there's a lot to like involvement, like technology, and like, how do we record this and all that. But I feel like, just like she said, like, God just kept on opening so many doors. God kept on like giving us so many confirmation. And so like, if there's anything that you feel that like it's put in your mind, in your heart, or in your spirit, you should act upon it, and you will see that God is going to be helping you along the way. He's going to be providing people. He's going to be providing resources. He's going to be providing finances as well, because obviously everything in life, money has to be involved, right? But you will start seeing, and that's how I knew. I was like, wow, this is definitely something from God, and of course there's going to be discouragement, of course there's going to be hardships, but I feel like that's part of it, because that's how you know that something's going to happen with it. If nothing's going wrong, then that means that there's not going to be any impact.
And something that like is good, like, is from God, like, it's gonna be attacked regardless, because like the enemy is not gonna just let something that's about to like impact, he's not just gonna let it happen. He's gonna do everything he possibly can to like try to destroy, but God is greater, he's so much greater than anything. So don't even like, it's very discouraging. And like, these past few weeks have been really hard because of this.
Right.
So I'm like, I can only imagine how much like
what else it's going to like happen. But we're gonna get more into that, because I bet maybe some of you guys are like, what's going on, what do you mean the enemy, what do you mean that I feel like we just kind of want to throw it out there, like what we know and what's going on, and then trust me, like, as we go on, we're going to be breaking it down step by step. We're going to be breaking down like what are spiritual battles, what are things what is confirmation, what do you mean, and my spirit's going to feel it. So all that we're going to be answering it. We're going to be breaking down with scripture, because we want to make sure that we're being guided with what the word of God says. So I'm very excited about that, because we want to make sure that this is going to be a safe place for everyone to just kind of like know who Jesus is, how to study the Bible, how to get involved with prayer. So I want this to kind of be like an open door for those that are maybe wanting to see what all of this is all about, but you're maybe a little bit scared of going to a church.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is what this podcast is all about. And the reason why, just like Crystal said, faith over fear is because even good change is a little scary.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But we
change
have to
in general is scary. Like, we get so comfortable in our, like, you know, and that's a scary place to be, like, comfortable. Like, yeah, it's comforting, but like change is like it gets you out of it, but it's scary. Like, it's so scary to just leave and do something else.
Exactly. And so that's why I feel like this is kind of like a good thing just for you guys to know that, okay, if I put some faith into it, then I'm going to conquer that fear and I'm going to get it done, whatever it is that you want to get done, right?
Yes.
And so in this case, we want to kind of like start that engine for those who want to know about God, who knows that maybe want to kind of elevate their walk, you know?
Who wants to seek him deeper, because I feel like there's a lot of, like, we can say, oh, we're Christian, you know, but don't put any work into it. We're like, it's just like a title, you know?
Exactly.
But this is like to help you like actually form a relationship with him, you know, because that's life changing. Like, and I say that from experience, because like I was here for a while, but there was no relationship. And now, like, people are probably like, whoa, she's so crazy for God, but it's like, he's really that amazing, you know? And through this, we kind of want to help y'all like see how amazing he is, you know? So that's
exactly. Yeah. Like, I want you guys to see, why is there people that are just all in for God? Like, why are there even churches? Like, why is there like change in maybe in the way that we are personally, the way that we act, maybe even the way that we look? Because I feel like every single person has an individual walk. So that means that me and Crystal, we're not supposed to maybe look the same. Maybe we're not supposed to have the same personality, because that's what it's all about, for every single person to have their own walk with God. And that's what it means. It means that we're not supposed to be the same. The only thing that we have to have in common is having a relationship with God.
Yes. And his love, like, that's what unites us.
Exactly, his love.
Yes. I was going to say something about, like, going back a little bit, because you were like, if something's from God, like, don't be scared. But I feel like sometimes things aren't from God. So it is important to have that confirmation, like we did, you know?
Right.
I just want to say that, because I feel like sometimes we're like, oh, this is from God, but it's not. And like, things are like indicating that it's not, but you're so dead set on like, oh, this, you know? So it's important to like ask for discernment too, which, I mean, y'all probably don't know what that means yet, but we'll get into that too.
Exactly. Yes. No, yeah. And I guess just a little bit about us, just so people can kind of know who we are. Like I mentioned, my name is Eileen. For those that obviously don't know, I am 25 years old. I've been in my spiritual walk for about 11 to 12 years now. I started whenever I was 13, and I go to a church that's called Fuente de Agua Viva. So it is Spanish. We are going to try to make it bilingual as we go on, right? But it is a church located in Pleasant Grove.
Yes. I'm Crystal, and I'm 21, and I grew up in church, but I left, and recently, like, it was in August of 2022, God like just completely changed my life. And so it's been like a year and like a few months that I've been like for real about God, and it's been the best. Like, it's hard, but it's been amazing. And I'm in Templo de Celebración in Decatur, and it also is Spanish, but we do have translations, and we have barely recently started our English ministry, and we've been having services on Fridays, and it's like a whole service but just in English, so that's good. And we plan to like make it like a second service on Sundays, so it's like a Spanish service and then an English service, which that's amazing, you know, because
it is,
sure. We talk about this, like, we live in an English speaking like state, you know, like we need to like
expand, you know. But yeah, so that's a little bit about us. Like I mentioned, for the next episode, we want to talk about testimonies. We want to really deep dive into how did I even get to the church? How did Crystal come back to the church? Because our walk is like two different things. So because I know that maybe my walk, some people can relate to it, and then Crystal's walk, someone, you know, other people can relate to that. So that's why I'm very excited excited for you guys to kind of like see in perspective where God takes you from, where he guides you to. And we're going to be talking a lot about that. So like I mentioned, testimonies, we're going to be involving scripture and all that. But I'm not sure if you want to add anything else.
I think that's it.
Yeah, so thank you guys for tuning in. I do want to say that we have a TikTok, so all of our links will be down in the description bar or description area. So we're gonna have TikTok, we're gonna have Instagram, we are going to be having our YouTube channel, which is where you guys are watching this from. So give us a like, share this with your friends, repost, and hopefully you guys come back. And I'm very excited for what God has in store.
Tuned.
So stay tuned for more to come. Bye.
Bye.